Hello there, all you cool younglings and padawans. Obi-Mom Kenobi here. Welcome back to the Jedi Temple. This is Reading with the Force. How are you guys today? Today we will be reading from Nickelodeon's Paw Patrol 5-minute stories. I hope you got your chocky moo juice and your chickie nuggies. Let's get started. Today's story is called Marshal to the Rescue. It was an exciting day at the lookout. A flock of geese was stopping overnight to rest. Rocky built a big nest for the birds to sleep in. Rubble used his shovel to fill the nest with bread for them to eat. Marshal was so excited, he accidentally tumbled into the nest. "The geese are coming!" he shouted. The geese flew in and landed, honking happily. Honk, honk! They started pecking at the pieces of bread right away. One tired goose settled down into the nest to relax. "She likes your nest, Rocky," Ryder said, patting the pup on the head. Rocky smiled, proud of his good work. But a baby goose wandered away from the flock. He waddled into a blue bucket and rolled down a hill. "I'll get him," Marshal announced, racing after the bucket. But as he ran, his feet got tangled up. Marshal and the little gosling ended up bouncing down the hill. When they reached the bottom, they were both a little dizzy. The gosling's eyes rolled around. "Are you okay, fuzzy little guy?" Marshal asked. "Cheep, cheep," the goose replied with a nod. "Hey," Marshal exclaimed. "Fuzzy is a great name for you." He nudged the gosling with his nose. "Back to your family, Fuzzy." Marshal took Fuzzy back up to the hill to the lookout. "Nice work, Marshal," Ryder said. Marshal introduced the little goose to the rest of the Paw Patrol. Fuzzy liked all the pups, but Marshal was definitely his favorite. Sky chuckled. "Marshal, it looks like you have a new BGFF. Best goose friend forever." All the pups laughed. For the rest of the day, the two friends did everything together. The little goose followed Marshal everywhere he went. When Marshal washed his fire truck, Fuzzy polished the window with his tail feathers. Until Marshal accidentally washed the little goose with his hose. "Oops," Marshal said. "Sorry, Fuzzy." That evening, Marshal walked back to the nest with Fuzzy on his head. "Okay, Fuzzy," he said, bending so Fuzzy could hop off. "Time to hit the hay, or nest." Fuzzy jumped up and down on Marshal's head. "Cheep, cheep!" He didn't want his new friend to leave. "I suppose I could sleep out here," Marshal said, "but just this once." He curled up and soon they were both asleep. First thing the next morning, while Marshal was still asleep, Fuzzy wandered off looking for food. He was hungry. When Marshal woke up, he looked around for his friend. No Fuzzy. He called his name, but the goose didn't answer. Marshal ran to Ryder. "Fuzzy is gone," he said. "We have to find him before his flock leaves." Ryder called the Paw Patrol to the lookout. "Our goose friends have to fly south for the winter," he explained, "but they're missing one little goose. If we don't find Fuzzy fast, they'll have to leave without him. Chase, I need you to call Fuzzy with your megaphone. Marshal, Fuzzy would follow you anywhere. I need you to help look for him too." Outside the lookout, Chase broadcast a goose honk through his megaphone, but Fuzzy didn't answer. Marshal sniffed the ground, searching for clues. He found one of Fuzzy's feathers. Ryder picked it up, and Chase took a whiff. "Achoo!" Chase sneezed. "Sorry, I'm a little allergic to feathers." He took a few more sniffs, sneezed, and announced, "He went this way." Marshal, Chase, and Ryder jumped into their vehicles and raced across Adventure Bay. Their sirens blared as they followed Fuzzy's feather trail. This was an emergency. Suddenly, Marshal heard chirping. Fuzzy was on the roof of the train station. He had a piece of bread in his beak, and two seagulls were trying to steal it. "Fuzzy, fly down here," Marshal called. "He can't," Ryder said. "A plastic soda ring is wrapped around his wing." Marshal, use your ladder to help get Fuzzy down. Marshal extended the ladder on his fire truck, which scared away the seagulls. He climbed up the ladder, but Fuzzy slipped on the edge of the roof and fell off. Use your helmet, Ryder cried. Marshal caught Fuzzy in his fire helmet. Sweet catch, Ryder cheered. Now let's get this off you, Ryder said, carefully pulling the plastic ring from Fuzzy. He was free again. The gosling flapped his wings, flew into the air, and landed on Marshal's head. Marshal laughed. The Paw Patrol raced back to the lookout. They had to get there before Fuzzy's flock flew away. But they were too late. The geese had just left. Fuzzy would have to flap fast to catch up to them. Fuzzy didn't want to go, and Marshal didn't want him to leave either. A little gosling belongs with his family, Ryder said. Marshal agreed. And Ryder quickly came up with a plan to return Fuzzy to his flock. Let's take to the air, Sky exclaimed, as her helicopter rose into the air, lifting Marshal in the harness. Cheep, cheep, Fuzzy flapped his wings and followed Marshal through the sky. Soon they caught up with the flock of geese. Goodbye, Fuzzy, Marshal called as Fuzzy joined the flock. Have a safe flight, you silly goose. Back at the lookout, the pups played jump rope. You guys did an awesome job today, Ryder said. What a bunch of good pups. Marshal missed Fuzzy, but he knew his little friend would visit whenever his family flew overhead. Until then, Marshal had his pawsome pup pals to keep him company. The end. Now, I'm pretty sure if you know that ducks like to fly south for the winter. And then, during the spring, they come back and they have babies. Now, here in Long Island, we have the Canadian honking geese. And they're pretty big, and they do come in large numbers. But I noticed that every year, faithfully in spring, they show up with a whole row of little goslings chasing right after them in search of food from their mommies and daddies. But I'm glad that you came to the Jedi Temple. I hope you enjoyed your chocky moo juice and your chickie nuggies. And I will see you on my next video. I am Obi-Wan Kenobi, and may the Force be with you.